train the dogs and whatever. But J.C. Murray worked with the movement too. And J.C. Murray, back in them days, they make you pass a test, a reading test. And okay, how you can be a PhD, you can figure out how to read this. They ask you questions, what's the constitutional test? What's the duty of the president? And then if the president get killed and the vice president get killed, who would take their place? How many state troops in the state of Alabama? And then they even ask you how many fellas in the chicken. And when they get through asking you that, they come and machine gun your house and throw dynamite on your porch. But J.C. Murray, he didn't have no fear. Brave young man. And he had to teach reading and literacy to the sharecroppers and the farmers. And he taught that and had them folks going up there trying to answer them questions for them white folks. Never answered them, they just wouldn't pass them. But J.C. was training them to do that, training them to pass literacy tests, and then we come to find out later on J.C. couldn't read. so we had all, if you wanted freedom, and like in Lowndes County, the average person down there wasn't educated or none of that kind of stuff. They were just some farmer, country people on plantations and whatever. And we looked at your condition. You're a slave. You're working for nothing. You live in a shack. Ain't no toilet. Ain't no running water. And all those kinds of things. The white man named, what's his name taking all the land down there? Harry Hammond had taken all the Africans' land, all the black folks' land. And we said we're going to run a shaft to get justice. We're going to run tax collector, tax the rich, and for the poor, and take money for the poor, all that kind of thing in Lowndes County. And so, to answer your question, it wasn't no qualification in terms of education, but you had different people on different levels. Now, the people, farm people and the country people, could talk to other country people better than the so-called educated people too could. So they were very outspoken. Miss Moore and all these people, Mr. Smith, now he looked like he was educated. He was so intelligent. But all the people intelligent, everybody played a role, from a man like Mr. Smith to a humble man like Mr. Hulett, his daddy, to just so many other people. But it wasn't made up of one person. It was made up of many personalities and different levels of information. Some just as country and poor and ragged as they could be, but extremely intelligent and what have you. So our movement was great. And also we had symbols of brothers like C.B. King, like Mr. Say, Mr. Nixon. These were great warriors and great organizers that came before us. And when we got wherever we went, there were many times there were people like Mr. Say and Mr. Nixon and these kind of people. I want to say one other thing, that Martin King, when he was down here at Dexter Avenue Baptist Church, he was just another little preacher. That's right. And he wasn't no smart man, brilliant man, but the brilliant people, Mr. Say and Mr. Nixon them, they chose King. They told King, we gonna make you the leader. And that show you how smart they were, Mr. Yeah. And he's always been a giant, him and E.J. Nixon, Mr. Say, where is Mr. Connolly? Attorney Connolly. He passed. Attorney Connolly and all these. So we had great warriors, and many people on many levels came and said, I'm going to be a freedom fighter. And you can be barefooted, you can be never went to school in your life, but if you say you want your freedom, you were qualified, and the more you said, the louder you said, the better leader you were. You understand? So no problem. And I came into an organization, SNCC, and everybody was college students, whatever. I was the one that had quit school in the 7th grade. I couldn't say Columbus discovered America. I never could say it. I never could learn the Star Spangled Banner. I refused to learn it. And I went and quit school in the 7th grade and what have you. And then I went to the pool hall, and when the city movement started, I got out there and started rebelling with everybody, and then they got me and threw me in SNCC, and the rest is history. But I was able to meet great people like the Huletts, and these people fed us, let us sleep on their floors, protected us. When they come to kill us, they were around us. When they put people in tent cities, they came with guns to put their lives on the line. And this is just, Lowndes County is just an example, but this was all across the country, and people were ready for freedom, and we just came, and SNCC just brought an organization to them, and what have you, and then you had articulate people that could speak for that freedom and bring worldwide attention like Dr. King. But SNCC was a grassroots organization, didn't have no money, people had to feed us, slept on floors, and what have you. And when we got to Alabama State, there were people like Dorothy Frazier and Doug and all those kids, they were waiting on us. And before you know it, right after I got here, a day or two later, we were taking over President Watkins' office and what have you. But everything we got, we fought and we took it. And freedom fighters come from all of you, and all of you are freedom fighters, all of you are qualified, and ain't nobody more qualified than us. If you want your freedom, let's get to it.
We have one last question. One last question.
I don't have a question. I have a comment and I want to make it. The young man who asked what kind of qualities they were, I want to read a quote from Julian Bond. Said, a final SNCC legacy is the destruction of the psychological shackles which have kept black Southerners in physical and mental peonage. SNCC helped break the chains forever. It demonstrated that ordinary women and men, young and old, could perform extraordinary tasks. That's what happened in Lowndes County. I'm the daughter of Frank Mowers, who used to drive around in a black bread truck with a big panther on the side of it. And when I went to look for work, I didn't know anything about it. I mean, I remember the truck, but that got me in trouble for trying to get a job because people knew my dad. But I want to say the kinds of things that we saw and that we see and what we've heard in the messages today are qualities that's needed are passion, service, vision, commitment, determination, a concern for the greater good, and there are tons of anonymous heroes from the movement, and that's okay. It's okay because the key is people like John Hulett, who quit his job and made $25 a month. And the times I remember we couldn't have Christmas one year. Johnny and I have never talked about this story, but one Christmas we couldn't have Christmas because I remember my dad saying, John quit his job and he has no food for his kids, and so y'all weren't getting Christmas because we're buying groceries for them. That's the kind of commitment it takes to make a difference in the movement. Those are the kinds of things that people did, and that's the kind of inspiration that we grew up with. And that's what I challenge for our young folks to do.
Your granny was a giant, and I remember him, and when we lived, our lives was in danger and whatever, but these guys were so powerful, they were such a giant, and I came from SNCC there, but I always felt like a little ant with Mr. Miles and Mr. Moore, and Miss Moore, and all the other people. It was just Miss Moore, but it was all Miss Gutty. You remember Mr. Gutty?
Yes.
All the other people, they were such warriors. And I remember when the election night, first election night, there was a big gun battle in Fort Deposit.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing all these men jumping on the car, and they all headed down to Fort Deposit with their guns, going down there to defend whatever had happened down there, because somebody, Mr. Jones, I think.
Yeah.
Mr. Jones had been attacked, and they all left there, and they went down there with guns to fight, and I went to jump on the truck. They said, no, you can get off the truck, go back and stay with the women. So they made me stay with the women, but they were nothing but warriors, and you could go on Miss Moore, and you could just go through hundreds of them, but all of them played heroic roles that you could, I mean, you just need to interview them, and you just see how humble and loving they are. But we couldn't have did a thing if it wasn't for the Jacksons and the other people that organized Lowndes County and taught us not to have no fear. So anyway, I want to say I feel humble when I think about Mr. Hewlett, Miss Moore, your father, and all the rest of them. But it was the people that make revolution.
I'd like to, as we close, I'd like to invite the brothers of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. The undergraduate chapter, the Gamma Sigma chapter, understood that this symposium was going to occur, and they understood that Brother Willie Bolden was going to appear on the panel. And they wanted to recognize, once they researched your life, they wanted to recognize you for your contributions. So would you come up to the podium, and the brothers of Omega Psi Phi?
I have to fight against the power that I cannot see. On behalf of the Gamma Sigma chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, we'd like to present you with this Lifetime of Service to Humanity Award for your service to our community and on behalf of our organization.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I very humbly accept this award, but if I can, I want to accept it not just on my behalf, but on behalf of my colleagues who are no longer with us.
Mm-hmm.
People like Big Lester Hankerson, Leon Hall, James Orange,
Amen.
Henry Brownlee.
Oh, yeah.
These are people who were a part of Dr. King's ground crew, who worked right here in Selma, Alabama. And I am happy to accept this award, and when I get back and go to my meeting with Ed Omega chapter of Atlanta, the 33rd Grand Master, Moses Norman is there. I'm going to show off. Look what I got in Selma. And before you go, I want to take a picture if you don't mind. Okay. Yeah.
I'd like to invite Dr. Janice Franklin, the Project Director for the National Center for the Study of Civil Rights and African American Culture, and the Dean of the Library, but our fearless leader, Dr. Franklin.
Thank you so very much, and I want to say that I appreciate all of this outstanding speeches, presentations, all that we've heard this morning. I can't thank you enough, and I want to welcome you here on behalf of our president, Dr. Wendell Paris. I know time is short right now, but I just want us all to stand and applaud all of these outstanding warriors. For those of you who are young people here, you have really been blessed today to hear these words. And one thing I want you to take away from this is that it was nonviolent social change. And it involves bravery, sacrifice. But it was because of their actions and their activities on our behalf that we say thank you all for being here today. Our mission here is to preserve these stories and to make sure that we teach the lessons of the movement. And that is one of the key lessons that we want to make sure will be taught. Nonviolent social change. And in light of even the activities in Ferguson last night, I think it's important that we remember that. And how important there was in the sense of organizations and structure and strategy. Those are the key elements to remember. And everybody had a role to play. They were all brilliant. They were all people who sacrificed and struggled. And they had a mission. They organized. There were strategies to achieve the outcome. And one thing we can take away from the president's speech is that the march continues. It's not yet finished. He's saying that it's not yet finished. But he said that those that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. So I ask that we all renew our strength and make sure we go out and fulfill the purpose of these outstanding people who are here today and their sacrifice. I want to thank also Dr. Robinson. Let's applaud. It has been his responsibility to gather all these stories, to be the person and the go-to person that we knew had the right information, the truth. And he's vetted this truth by talking to everybody and getting to know everybody. And he's our expert on this story now. So we're proud of him. We appreciate the sacrifice of the many hours of researching this story, just so that it's preserved, so that everything you said today and all of these lessons from the movement, we can make sure that it continues for generations to come. So this is part of our mission to be a museum and have it come directly from you as well. We're working now with the National Park Service to establish an interpretive center on our campus. And we want to depend on all of you to know that Alabama State University is an important place for this story to be preserved and told and taught. So I don't know if there are members of the National Park Service here today. Oh, thank you. Yes, yes. Thank you so much for being with us today. And she's working directly with us as well as all the other sites in Selma and in Lowndes County. And if there are other people, patrons of the National Center that are here, would you please stand and be recognized? And the rats here and they are members of our patrons. Thank you so much. Now I want to recognize all the other members of the steering committee. Would you please stand? Dr. Archery, Ms. Fagan, anyone else? Mr. Willis? Mr. Weatherly? Thank you so much, and we appreciate your being here.
Thank you.